Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you may be joining us from today. I'm Eric Linask with TMC, and I'm excited to welcome you all and kick off today's live webinar called Competition to Collaboration, Analyzing Wholesale Industry Landscape Post-COVID-19. Now, obviously, it's not exactly breaking news that this COVID-19 pandemic has really wreaked havoc on nearly every industry. And frankly, that does include the telecom industry at least to an extent. You know, undeniably, there have been some major disruptions in the telecom space. Maybe one of the biggest ones is the fact that we've seen almost an 80% dip in international roaming, clearly due to the lack of travel that we've seen this year. And there are other travel-related and other telecom services that have also suffered. But the positive is that because of all the digital transformation, the digital transformation wave that was already taking over the world pre-coronavirus, more than perhaps any other event in this industry, this has shown how important telecom is to keeping our businesses, our schools, our governments, our other organizations all functioning, and frankly, just keeping the entire world connected when our conventional activities and processes have been eschewed. As a result, the industry has truly been the world's backbone during this pandemic, providing the access and the communication services for both businesses and personal communications. I mean, millions of businesses transitioned very quickly to teleworking and are continuing those strategies even as we move through this pandemic into the rest of this year and into 2021. Restaurants, retailers have shifted their focus to online and phone-based orders and service. Educational institutions have moved to distance learning, and even now, as many schools are trying to give in-person learning a go, some are still in hybrid modes and others do remain all virtual. As a result of all of this and what we've seen in so many other industries, voice and video traffic on telecom networks has increased significantly. In every industry, telecom has been invaluable. So for the telecom providers, it's really highlighted the importance of remaining innovative and flexible and to be able to adapt to all sorts of evolving situations. And that's really the discussion that I'm excited that we're all going to be part of today. What does this current situation mean to wholesale carriers? How can they continue to reinvent their business models through innovation and collaboration to build added resiliency and ensure continued growth? And for that discussion, I'm really excited to be joined by two experts in the field. They are Ayush Bharat, who is Chief Commercial Officer at the Bankai Group, and Chandrahas Rana, who is Head of Business Development at Bankai Group. Now, before I hand over today's session to Chandar, just a couple of quick housekeeping items for you. You should all have an interface on your screens that you can use to submit questions at any time. We have left plenty of time for your questions. Please encourage you, feel free to submit them at any time as they come to mind. Also, if you're interested in a copy of today's presentation, contact information for the Bankai team will be available at the end of the session, and you'll also be getting details on accessing the on-demand version of today's webinar after today's event, if you would like to share that detail with any of your colleagues who weren't able to join us live today. And finally, we do have a couple of short poll questions during today's session. And on behalf of Ayush and Chandar, thank you in advance for taking just a couple of moments to respond to help make today's session a little more interactive and help them better tailor their commentary to you, our live audience today. So with that, thank you so much again for joining us. It's my pleasure to introduce Chandra Rana from Bankai Group.
Thanks, Eric, for your comprehensive introduction about the topic competition to collaboration and how industry is shaping up during this pandemic. And agenda of this presentation is to take you through what disruption COVID-19 has brought to the world and to the telecom and global wholesale industry as well. As you know, every disruption brings some tectonic shift to every industry or any ecosystem. So there have been new business models evolving and different approaches are coming to the business. So we will run through how wholesale carriers are adapting themselves to the new normal and how this industry been moving from trading to more on managed service side, and then what kind of new avenues are available to grow the revenue for telco on unified communication platform side, and what initiative Bankai Group uh, as a key global leader into wholesale voice and SMS taking. And then there would be small forecast how telecom and wholesale industry will take a shape in next 5 to 7 years. So this will I run through you for next me and Ayush will run through you for next 40 minutes. Okay. So now it all started at the start of 2020 in January in a city like Wuhan, where this pandemic started, and it changed the whole course, the way we do our business, the way we interact with our clients, the way everything happens across the globe. Initially, the epicenter of pandemic was in Europe by March and in April. Then it shifted to North America. Now it's everywhere. So till date, we have more than 20 million confirmed cases, and unfortunately there are more than 750,000 deaths across the globe. But during these doomsday, like 3 months back, there have been some silver lining as well. And silver lining is that mortality rate has dropped. At the start, that was some around 20%, has dropped to 2-3%. And if we consider antibody tests, it's lower than 1%. So I will end this slide being a bit lighter on the side that uh, this pandemic has taught us, and this pandemic will give us something to tell our grandkids, kids 30 years from now, that how we saved the human race by just laying in front of our TV doing nothing. So, so that's what whole world did for 2-3 months, and now things are moving. So let's move on. Let's slide. Oh yeah. So as mentioned that telecom is also the part of global industry, and there have been great deal of disruption happened across the globe. Whole supply chains are more digital today. Medical field, or be it education field, are moreover handled by remotely, and telecom industry is playing a very vital field. Uh, See, telecom is 150 years old industry. It all started 1971 by Graham Bell, and this industry has survived 2 world wars. It survived the dot-com bust. It survived the mortgage crisis, and now it will survive this pandemic as well. So it's a tough industry, and uh, along and innovation and toughness bring loyal to everything. So this industry is very critical, and is helping how the ecosystems and value chain has changed in last 6 months by providing the business critical connectivity and all the work from home and new mobile health or e-learning, everything. Telecom is the backbone. Now coming to the numbers, uh, the size of global economy is somewhere around 80 to 85 trillion, and out of that 3% is global telecom revenue. So if telecom would be a country, it would be the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world. So when we talk about telecom during COVID, we are talking about 3% of global economy. So overall, telecom being one of the resilient sector, when whole global economy being projected to dip by 5 to 7%, telecom will grow 1 to 2% if we take the whole world. Though in developed world, overall decline in revenue would be 3%. Yes, if we talk about revenue side, consumer telecom will be more steady, and will grow 1 to 2%, or rather there would be a dip of minor dip of 0.5%. There would be more dip on business telecom side from 10 to 20%. Of course, everybody is know digital services IoT revenue will increase by 15%. More digitalization is happening, so that would be the way forward. Now coming to the specific how wholesale industry is being disrupted, or what kind of changes it has brought. Like if you will see the numbers on this slide, there been an increase of 40% global IP traffic in last 6 months, and traffic on instant messaging platforms has increased 5 times. So this industry is growing very fast and taking a leaps and bounds during pandemic. And now coming to the overall revenues during this, because global wholesale revenue, when we talk about it, is composite of voice, SMS, signaling, and roaming as well. So overall, industry will grow by 3%, and earlier it been predicted to dip by 2%. Voice traffic will increase 50%, revenues on voice will increase, interconnection revenues will increase by 15%. That's a very positive news for industry, where voice was on a declining phase since 5 to 7 years. Then roaming, as you mentioned, will take a dip of 50 to 80% due to lockdowns. So overall, if you will see, there would be industry is witnessing a tremendous growth due to OTT or instant messaging platforms, and wholesale access and unified communication platforms are driving last mile connectivity across the global space. Okay, role of wholesale carriers during COVID. There is a great saying by Winston Churchill post World War II, while hailing their Royal Air Force, that never in the history of mankind so many owed so much to so few. With due regard to other industries, today we can proudly say that never in the history of global economy so many sectors or so many industries being sustained by one industry, that is telecom, and wholesale is also one of the key part of that. So now coming to the role of wholesale carriers. See, wholesaler across the globe carries somewhere around 50% of international voice traffic, non-OTT traffic, and wholesalers like Bankai Group been instrumental in connecting the remote countries or niche countries like in Africa to the world. Uh, for example, that you have never heard of countries like island in Pacific like Samoa Island or Marshall Island, or countries like Burundi. So wholesaler like us are exclusive gateway partners, and we are connecting them to the global economies. Now, as mentioned that uh, OTTs are driving the demand for global communication, and then content providers are also seeing the growth of 50%. So wholesale carriers are helping these OTTs and content provider with flexible business model, where traditional operator or legacy operators are not that flexible. So we, in one sense, global wholesaler are helping these OTTs and content provider to reach to the markets and the customer across the globe. Now coming to what wholesaler are doing, see, we are seeing a massive transformation of the networks from 4G to 5G, and wholesale players are expanding their network to support the operator to deliver the wholesale IoT and 5G services across the globe. So wholesale players are the key part of this global telecom ecosystem and playing their role perfectly. So this is a very interesting thing that till now we have discussed what has happened in wholesale industry. So how wholesale industry been evolving post COVID? See, this is an industry that is working on the same model from last 20-25 years, and this is first time we are seeing tremendous disruption and change of guard in industry. So how wholesale industry is shaping is, till now wholesale industry was men centric, and it was like more human focused industry, where one account manager used to interact with another account manager. Now the business model is moving toward digital wholesale solutions, where platforms like incoming in coming slides, we will explain that what initiative Bankai Group is taking on wholesale to make wholesale industry more digital. So digital is the way moving forward, and wholesale industry is also moving in that direction. Then coming as industry is seeing more growth, 20 to 30% year on year on cloud services, digitalization, IoT, machine learning. So wholesaler are also gearing up to be part of this growth story, and they are evolving with operators. Then we are seeing lots of wholesaler; those have comprehensive solutions. Gone are the days when wholesale carrier were voice centric, SMS centric, or some were like top up centric. Now wholesale player wants to be one stop shop, and they are in more demand. And you can go through the this particular slide again. Industry is shaping well, and it's been evolving very fast. And this industry always been a cash flow intensive industry, and operator has realized in last 3 4 years that it's always better to work with bigger wholesalers, those have deep pockets and wide network, rather than working with hundreds of carriers with small setups and very not very steady cash flow situation. So industry is moving in that direction. It's evolving, and key players, strong players like Bankai, will keep on having collaboration with operators and delivering the end-to-end solutions to the industry. So now, Eric, will you help us to run this quick poll?
Absolutely, very happy to. So, we've heard a little bit about, what's been happening in the telecom space, how the industry's responded, what they've had to respond to. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how you would rate the telecom industry response to the increased digitization and remote working services demand due to COVID-19. Very simple: excellent, good, average, or needs improvement. Now, while we let our audience give us their feedback, I really get a sense. My personal opinion is it's been actually quite good, but I get a sense that these responses may vary significantly based on geography. Would you agree?
I, yeah, I agree that it will depend upon the geography and at what stage that particular country is on a network side. Because net operators in developed world using LTE networks were more with more software-defined networks were more ready to respond to this pandemic. But still, I feel that being into global industry, we see even operators in less developed countries were very agile and were very flexible, delivering the values to the customer and enterprises.
Excellent. Let's give our audience just a couple of more seconds to respond for those few people who haven't yet. And why don't we take a look and see what our audience is telling us, and would love to hear your thoughts on these responses. Close to half say good, a little more than a quarter excellent, needs improvement is about 20% as well. So not a lot in the middle. It's either good or bad, it looks like.
Yep, I mean, these results are a kind of a mixed bag today, what we are viewing today on the screen. So, yeah, I mean, personally, I would be in between somewhere good and average, not at the excellent stage, because there's still a lot of evolution. There's a lot of digitalization. There's a lot of a mixture between the IoT and the telecommunication services, and a lot of data development, data penetration is pending. So yeah, good answer, audience. So, Eric, should we move to the next now?
Absolutely. Take it away.
So now coming to the next slide, uh, competition to collaboration approach. When we talk about wholesale industry, it can be kind of segregated into three different layers. One is at first layer, you will see the global operators like Telefonica, Orange, Vodafones of the world. Those have cross-country, cross-continent, and cross-ethnicity networks and have global presence. And then there are wholesale players. Those have multi-continent network and connectivity. Then the second layer would be there would be tier two wholesale player. Those are with like 20 to 40 employees, and they are strong in one particular continent or a certain set of countries. And then the biggest pie of on the industry side is tier three. Those are carriers operational from some basements, like 4 or 5 guys running the show. They have their own niche, like in one or two countries, or traditionally they are more focused on non-CLI or on those kind of stuff. Till now, in this industry, operator and wholesaler act as competitor. They acted as a competitor even 2 years back. But there used to be tussle for revenue. Everybody was competitor. There was rates fight. There was so many things. Those were not conducive for the industry. But now, post COVID, what we are seeing is operators wants to focus more on evolving field or on core activities, and they want to collaborate with wholesale players. Those have extensive network, and those can help operators by complementing their existing value chain. So now wholesale players have turned into facilitator of global network coverage for many operators and many enterprises as well. So then uh, this business been very unstable kind of business, where one day you do $100,000 revenue, next day it can be to $5,000. So operator wants the wholesale player, those have capacity and reach to have long-term revenue deals, and we are seeing that lots of long-term deals happening with operators in multiple continents. So that's the flavor of industry. And there have been many collaboration happening because industry is evolving, and new vertical like blockchain and IoT initiatives. Many operator and wholesaler are joining, and different forums like GLF, Global Leader Forum, and an MEF, Mobile Ecosystem Forum, where operator and wholesaler are helping each other. And then, as mentioned, that the size of this industry, if we talk globally, is 2.5 trillion. But every year, whole carrier ecosystem lose somewhere around 30 billion US dollar only in frauds. So now we are seeing lots of wholesale player and operators sharing information regarding frauds very actively. And there have been some industry group like CFCA, Communication Fraud Control Association. Those are there in industry. And also wholesale players are taking initiative, like we took initiative with 3-4 operators in Africa and some part of Middle East and in Southeast Asia, where along with traditional international voice, we provide wholesale revenue fraud management solution in international voice and OTT bypass, or on SMS side as well, where we are helping them to reduce the fraud. And fraud, if you save $5 for an operator in fraud, that's an incremental revenue for that particular operator. So that's direct augment the incremental revenue of that operator. So that way, industry is evolving and collaborating. Then like 5% global population is an immigrant across the globe. So there are 300 million immigrants across the globe, and native operators want to serve their communication, banking, or utility needs in the pockets in Western Europe and North America. So many wholesale carriers are taking initiative to serve these pockets or these immigrant population. And we at Bankai Group also have one of our subsidiary with the name of Call and Roam. We can share that information post this PPT. If anybody is interested, we can share. That serve to the immigrant population. Now I will hand over the PPT to Ayush Barhot. He will run through us how model is shaping up and what is happening on ground.
Thank you, Chandar, and good morning and good afternoon, good evening in whichever part of the world you guys are listening us from. Thank you firstly for subscribing to the webinar, and at the end of the session, I would love to have some questions and have some interaction with you guys. Chandar drived us through how the telecommunications evolved, right from Graham Bell to the world wars to this pandemic, and how the market is moving towards collaboration from being a competitive market among the carriers. My topic today here is to see how wholesale trading is moving to the concept of managed services. Especially in the last 3 years, there has been a subsequent move. If on the left-hand side of the presentation slide that you're seeing, you see that earlier the approach was operator used to work with carrier A, B, C, and n number of carriers based on the size of the of the domicile of the operator, and they used to receive and send voice, SMS, data traffic to multiple carriers, receive from multiple carriers. But the management for the operator, in this case, became a little cumbersome. They had to manage accounts. There was risk of bad debts and a lot of other issues, quality network, those things. So now, recently in the last 3 years, and personally for Bankai as well, post March 2020 period, we've seen a lot of operators discussing with us to become the managed services partner for them, and we manage their carriers or customers, and as well as become a one-stop shop as their vendor to terminate their outbound traffic as well. So the approach is definitely shifting. We personally have been managing multiple gateways for different countries, for an incumbent in Liberia, to the second mobile operator in the Gambia, to Sierra Leone, and a lot of such markets. So managed services becomes like very important link between an operator and the outside world, because for an operator, 95% of their revenue is their retail or domestic business, or their mobility business, or now they are also evolving into providing IoT data and different services over their mobile phone, or becoming like a video relayer or an OTT player themselves in the domestic market. So for the 5% of the revenue, 5 to 7% of the revenue based on the operator size, they would want to take the headache off, especially now where the profit has become very important, the margins have become important. They want to invest more on their network optimization side, where they want to move from 2G to 3G to 4G, and now 5G as well in multiple countries. So this concept is really budding for the wholesale industry. I'll explain how more in detail in the upcoming slide. If we compare between the traditional wholesale trading and the new managed services network concept, there is, of course, there is a lot of competition between the wholesale carriers in the market for revenue. We all who are from the telecom industry attending this webinar today, we've seen rate fights for a particular destination. I personally, when I started to enter the wholesale industry about 16 years back, we used to sell India termination, for an example, at about 20-25 cents. And today we are, India is a sub-cent destination. This not only moved because of the operator or the regulator, changing the pricing or removing the taxes and all those things, but it many a times did happen due to the the fight between the carriers for the wholesale revenue. I've seen customers moving away traffic for $0.0001 per minute, kind of a difference. So it's a lot of uncertainty, competitive, on the termination cost. Plus, managing the wholesale business is also becoming tough. Of course, there is no entry barrier in our industry. You can get a switch for as low as switching and billing solution for as low as pay as you go on $200 a month. But now even the operators, the customers are becoming very quality centric, and lot of these challenges have to be resolved on a day-to-day basis. Whereas on the managed services side, there are many advantages for the operators. They do not invest into the overall capex of upgrading their NGN network, their billing, the switching solution. There's a lot of chances of overusage by the prepaid customer, where larger carriers like us can invest into real-time prepaid cutoffs kind of a system for them. We can give them real-time access to their traffic report data, information which they want to use it in to present in front of their management. So outsourcing or managed services become a very important value proposition for the operators today. Fraud detection, as Chandar spoke about, it is also becoming a big challenge. Inbox detection, especially in the developing markets of the world, is one of the major shifts along with the OTTs that the operators are facing. So anything that we can save on those sides, like for an example, with an operator in Burundi recently, we have installed a test call generator system, because we were managing the entire gateway for them in that part of the world. So they have actually seen in less than 3 months about 10 to 12% increment in the revenue. So these things become very important and vital, where operator do not want to or should not be investing a lot on managing the international side of the business, and try to leverage it based on the expertise of the carriers. So one more area where I think Chandaru should throw light on is the UCaaS, or Unified Communications as a Service. This goes very closely hand in hand to the operators' expansion or operators' deliverance in their domestic or domicile market. And how this is completely shaping up, I think Chandar will take it through, and then we'll go through a small poll again to just make sure that you guys are hearing us.
Thank you, Ayush. As you mentioned that platform is the buzzword across the industry. So when we talk about unified communication and collaboration market, we are bringing communication, we are bringing voice, SMS, and mobility in a plug and play model through API. So this is the market that today stands out somewhere around 30 billion US dollar, and it's been projected to reach around 60, or rather more than 60 billion US dollar in the next 5 to 7 years, with annual growth more than 10%. So why this unified communication market is growing so fast? The reason for that is we have 9 billion mobile phones in the world, where population of world is only 7 billion, and with adoption of LTE network and 5G coming, 60% to 70% world will be using smartphones by 2022. and bandwidth on demand would be the buzzword for OTTs and content provider. Through UCC services, UCC platform, these bandwidth on demand can be entertained in more flexible and agile way. Then definitely telecom yeah, infrastructure is evolving also with the industry. Gone are the days when people used to have PBX and IPBX in system in their offices. Now they just need a single API to connect with some platform to deliver the seamless communication across the globe, be it on SMS and or voice side. So next, I will request Eric. We have one more poll to run through it. Eric, over to you.
Absolutely. So now we've talked a little bit. You've heard a little bit about some of the different products and services that have seen some increased demand over the past half year or so. We'd love to hear from you as far as which international communications product or service have you seen witness the highest positive revenue growth during COVID-19? And we're looking for either wholesale voice access, A2P SMS, airtime top up, or DID or UC platforms. As I look at these, I would think that any or all of these are great, should have seen some significant uptick in positive revenue. But I'm wondering how much, again, going back to the question of geography that we talked about with the first poll question, does geography play a role in which of these services are in greater demand, especially during the pandemic?
Yes, in this particular poll, I believe geography plays an important role because each of these services that I mentioned are, regional based. I'll give you an example. For example, if we pick up airtime top up, the moment of the top up balance transfer from country A to country B is normally from developed to developing. The flow of A2P SMSs or the flow of A2P SMS access will be between the developed and the developing. So that will be more inclined towards the developed regions or the developed countries in terms of the communication infrastructure. Voice access and DID UC or voice access, if we talk about it, will still be in the same fashion of developing to the developed markets and between the enterprises. DID UC platform, if you see, if I am looking at the polls right now, it has a 29%, or maybe all three services have a 29%, which is changing now. But after the pandemic, I think this has picked up in a big way due to the work from home concept coming in. So yeah, it's again a mixed bag, but wholesale voice access is, I believe the biggest. Again, the audience has voted all three categories the same, and airtime top up has just 16.
And certainly, like you said, then that's reflective of the markets in which our audience is active in. But interesting to see. I agree that all three of those are about the same.
Right. Yeah. So in my last section, I covered regarding the collaboration, between the operator and the wholesalers and managed services. Here I'm talking something about digitalization, which was, also one of the main agendas of our discussions. BridgeVoice Pluto, of course, is our product as Bankai. We've mentioned, but I have used it here as a use case on digitalization of the wholesale industry. It may be, there are not similar platforms, but similar service platforms in the market. But there are a few differences, of course, on the Pluto side as well. But focusing on our point of digitalization, we at our end see that going forward there will be even digitalization of the wholesale industry, like it has been on the online shopping or Ubers and different applications that we use day in and day out. Because what is happening is, again, operators want incremental revenue. Operators are facing issues of losing revenue through sim boxes and OTTs because they are taking away a lot of market share. Such platforms can definitely answer one major question for the operators, which is the sim boxing or the sim box players taking away their legitimate traffic. How a very small example today, if I go to a mobile operator in X country and say, hey, I'm a retailer in the United States or somewhere in Europe, and I have 1,000 minutes coming to your country, please interconnect with me. Obviously, due to the size of the operator and the services, they may not entertain a small retailer. Now, how many choices does a retailer have? When operators are rejecting, and even today, if you see, the market is shifting towards uh, the carriers also rejecting smaller customers. So they have no choice but to go to the Simbox provider, go on a web forum and find out a supplier to country X and get termination. What Pluto brings to desk is we have numerous operators connected on this platform today or on this digital platform where operators host the inventory. Anybody in the world can become a customer, can come in, they can choose the operators whose inventory they want to use. For example, they want to terminate traffic into Senegal, they have 2 or 3 choices right there. They can choose which operator to use in order to terminate their traffic in that country. So this also addresses one more concern, is the volatility of the rates. Because what a platform can do is they can aggregate and give the economies of scale benefit to the customers. At the same time, aggregate the volume which is not reaching out to the operators because of the sim boxes or unavailability of the OTT data in certain countries and all those things. So it manages both sides, the customer end, by giving them direct connectivity to the operators, choosing whom to use. There are no financial commitments. They have access to the discounted rates which were not available. They have ease of, the platform gives multiple choices on routing, how they want to LCR themselves, how they want to QBR themselves. On the operator side, it is the headache is gone. The platform is completely managing their incoming traffic. Their on-net traffic, irrespective, is going to come to them. But collecting traffic from these small pockets, from the enterprises, they have a risk of zero bed depths. They do not have to worry about the connectivity, updating the NGN network, looking at the live reporting. Uh, and we work in both the ways as a digital platform. For example, one operator in a certain country wants to launch their own digital platform, and they want customers directly to connect to them. This platform is also available on a white label basis, and they can directly you know look at how to launch their own services. uh, Moving to the next slide very quickly. Value proposition, as I've already covered, it gives a comprehensive interface for global communication needs. Uh, One more important point which Pluto covers is, as a customer, it need not be, they may be a retailer or a carrier, but today, because of the work from home concept, a single home user who's trying to work out of the home office can buy in a DID, can connect to multiple countries, can subscribe for its own calling services, can subscribe for his own SMS services, and use this entire platform and bring the legit traffic owned by the operator directly delivered to the operator. So basically, moving away from Pluto, digitalization is the next thing, which is our forecast as a company into the wholesale world, be it on the voice side, be it on the DID side, be it on sending top-ups, be it using the OTT or the mobile applications going around. Roaming revenues already we've seen has been impacted to a large number. So this is the second alternate revenue which can come through these individual people working from the home offices and try to bring that revenue back to them. So in short, digitalization will help them to fight against the SIM boxing. They can not worry about the bad debts and faster turnaround to reach to their customers and interconnects. Uh, Moving to the next slide, how we see the market from here on 2020 to 2025, be it on the travel restrictions, how the market will open up, what areas will see the growth. I'll hand it over to Chandar to take you through 2020 to 2025, and then probably we'll have a good question answer round after this.
Thank you, Ayush. Actually, it's not a good idea to predict anything in a pandemic year, and WHO already been a victim of predicting too many things. So, on lighter note, now coming to the forecast for this, uh, we are seeing tremendous new incremental forums of demand of IP voice that will grow, and there would be new kind of technologies that will evolve, like high definition voice and hyper voice, where hyper voice is moreover where we convert voice into native web objects, and those objects can be shareable and searchable on internet. And then two-way video, unified communication, and femtocell. This is moreover like in-house BTS in each house. With the IoT coming into the picture, there will be many connecting devices within a home. So femtocell will manage that. Then second, what we see is wholesaler and telecom operators will move beyond the pipe approach. Till now, operators or wholesalers are managing the pipes for content providers or OTTs. Now, in next 2-3 years, they will actively participate to drive IoT solutions and virtual reality sectors. Then power of platforms, as mentioned, that unified communication is growing at 10%, and we see that wholesale industry will also embrace platforms, and most of the business will happen on platforms, and API will be more common, and they are already common actually, but they would be with more cyber security and with AI-based routings and fraud alerts. Then coming very interesting, like fourth one, like SBU synergy. Till now, what we are seeing is most of the carrier, either they are voice centric, or they are SMS centric, or they are unified communication carriers. But in next 2-3 years, what we are seeing is there would be a synergy between all these services, and carrier will evolve as one-stop shop for the communication needs, and there would be more synergy between different verticals like voice, SMS, and IP services, and they will drive the communication growth in enterprise sector. Last but not the least would be the consolidation in the industry that is happening everywhere post in a pandemic year, and that will happen in telecom and wholesale industry as well, where bigger carrier will take over small or niche player to complement their existing value chain. So these are the trends that we see, and I will end this forecast that as per Bill Gates, in last 6 months we have seen a digital leapfrogging of 5 years, and if pandemic would have not be there, so this is a special year. Some say this is a cancel year, but this is a year that is giving us insight to move forward and how global industry will shape up. So I will end this presentation here, but at the end I will brief you about Bankai Group, the company where we belong, one of the global leader. in international carrier and technology space. It's a 30 years old conglomerate, and we have two different subsidiary. One is carrier services, where our wholesale voice, SMS, and top-up solutions we provide. We are among top 20 wholesale carrier in the world. Does more than 10 billion minutes a year, and more billions of SMS we terminate across the globe. And on technology side, Panamex is our subsidiary that takes care about network support system and fintech and blockchain solutions. So it's pretty diverse group, and you should. I thank all the audience who devoted their precious time listening to us. If you need any more information, or you need any literature, any brochure, our coordinates and information would be there on the following slides. So now I will hand over to Eric for question and answer session. Over to
Excellent.
you, Eric.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Again, we do have some time left for questions. If you haven't, I see a few coming in. If you have questions, now's the time to make sure you get those to us, so we can try to get to as many of them online live as we can. I agree. Anytime you're trying to make projections or predictions during a pandemic, there's some difficulties with that. But can we talk a little bit about the actual impact, the changes that you've already seen in your real-time business during the pandemic?
Yeah, see, Eric, on business side, there have been some paradigm shifts. Like now, operators or wholesale carriers are more interested in long-term deals, and most of the companies are working with limited carriers. And what we see is there are more strategic collaboration and engagement happening in industry, and the scope of communication needs is increasing from voice only to SMS only to rather all unified communication needs covering all voice, SMS, or be it on fintech and utility side as well. So we are seeing a tectonic shift in industry when it comes to day-to-day business.
So you just mentioned seeing some increase in demand for SMS on the business side. How do you think that's going to continue to evolve over the next couple of years? I mean, there's a lot of interest as far as I've seen, or at least there should be a lot of interest in A2P SMS on the business side, and just having an additional channel to interact through.
Yeah, Eric, see, digitalization will definitely would be one of the driver for A2P messaging across the globe. Because, if you see the A2P message market today, be it domestic or international clubbing both, it's somewhere around $40 billion US, and it will be somewhere around 70 to 80 billion in coming 7 to 8 years. And the main driver of growth for this would be automation and digitalization, because now application will converse or communicate with people, and people will communicate with application. So with the chatbots coming, with IoT coming into the picture, and we will have 7 times more connected devices than the global population. So you can imagine how A2P SMS will grow, and we will see tremendous growth in coming years. And we are already seeing our business growing 10 to 20% on month basis on A2P SMS side.
Wonderful, thank you. There's been a lot of growing interest over the past several years in a managed services model, and frankly, I think that this pandemic has only increased the attention that managed services have been receiving. Are there things that telecom operators and wholesale providers can do to manage a conflict, or at least a perceived conflict of interest, when using a managed services model?
on the conflict between the wholesalers, I mean for the operators to look at this in terms of a conflict with the wholesalers, it is rather I would say collaboration rather than a conflict, because the mom and pop shops kind of carriers are are creating or are the result of this decline over the period of time in terms of the termination rates and misusing the legit volumes that belong to the operators. So I don't think so they will look at it as a conflict. They would rather use it to their advantage. They would convert the retail volumes which rightfully belong to the operators, bring back the volumes, connect with the migrant communities who are living in different part of the world, and provide them world-class services even when they are in country or outside.
Great, thank you. We've got time for another question or two. May I suggest putting up the contact information for those people who are
Sure.
looking to get in touch with you and to see about getting the copy of the presentation deck as well. So for you and our audience, be sure to jot down that contact information if you're interested. What kind of strategic initiatives are you taking at Bankai Group to help strengthen your own position in the carrier industry?
See, Eric, there are two approach to give response to any pandemic. One is reactive, one is proactive. Luckily, we've been a proactive carrier in last 3-5 years. Like as we mentioned that one-stop solution. Like we have our own SMS voice unified communication initiative since last 5 years. And when it comes to unified communication and then managed services approach, BridgeVoice Pluto was started like 4 years back and already is one of the leading player in this particular segment. It is an award-winning platform. So our approach always been since last 3-5 years being proactive. Even right now, what we are doing is we are building our capacities. We are more focused on enlarging our our network to the niche countries. And due to our technology background, we are leveraging our technology background to create more user-friendly and customized solutions for the industry. Uh, we foresee that we will keep on growing, and in next 5 to 7 years, we would be one of the pioneer when wholesaler who will have a great deal of presence into IoT, blockchain, and machine-to-machine space as well. So our endeavors are forward-looking, and like said that fourth industrial revolution has begun, and telecom would be the rock of that, and Bankai want to be a part of this growth story, and that's it.
Thank you. So, eventually we're gonna, the world is gonna get past this COVID-19 pandemic. When that happens, is the growth that you're talking about today, the growth that we've seen in the telecom space, the new opportunities, are those going to continue, or do you think that we'll see something of a rollback more towards pre-coronavirus circumstances?
Eric, human race and industry has evolved always. And have you seen anybody using computer going to typewriter again? What I see is this is the new normal, and we will move forward only from this, and we will see more digitalization. Because if we talk about countries like India today, a country where if we talk about high school student population, we have 150 million students right now, and our government is taking initiative to provide them online education. So if it is happening in India, and with the smartphones and 5G technology rolling out with better customer experience, we see industry to move forward only. There won't be any rollback.
Excellent. I would tend to agree with you, and certainly hope that that's the case. That the advantages that we've all been able to enjoy and learn to use and learn to benefit from will stick with us for the foreseeable future. With that, we are to the end of the time that we have today. If there are any additional questions, the Bankai team will certainly be more than happy to answer those offline following today's event. Again, if you haven't had a chance to jot down the contact information, please do that. It will also be included in a follow-up email that you'll all be receiving following today's event. So with that, as I said, we are to the end of our time. I want to thank everybody in our audience for taking time out of your busy days and hopefully get some great information that Ayush and Chandra have shared with us today. Ayush and Chandra, thank you so much for sharing some of your expertise. And to everybody, stay safe, and we hope to see you again here very soon. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, everyone from the Bankai Group. Namaste.
Thank you, Eric, and the audience.